All right. I think it's finally working. Technology. Technology. Let's see. Hey, hey, do I hear that? Technology. Oh, good. Technology. All right. All right. Technology. It works. Sometimes it doesn't. And let's make sure YouTube is working. That's always a thing because I have a few people that because they're at work or they just hate um, YouTube. They hate Facebook, which is entirely valid. Some people like to watch this on YouTube, so I make sure that we are there. How are you, folks? People that are on YouTube, I see some people coming in. Thank you so much for maybe you knew about this and you stopped by on a Monday. I appreciate that. Or it's a drive-by. You just got uh, an indicator. That. Or it's a drive-by. You just gotta. There we go. So YouTube is happening. You might have just heard that. Twitch is happening. Twitter's happening. Okay, great. Because folks stop in different spots, and I really appreciate that. I have to start there and say, and I start my day with a modicum of gratitude. My mic level is very low. Okay, let's turn that up. Thank you, Sharon Lynn Baker. I appreciate it. All right, yeah, how's that? I'm going a little closer to 0 dB. Hey, yeah, that should be much better, right? Sabine, Sabine, you're great. She says, "Did I miss something? Did it all go down in the U.S.?" You are great. Um, who says the Germans aren't funny? Let's let's stop there first of all. And the Germans are some of the funniest. I've been to Germany. I'm gonna celebrate 20 years next year, and I'll make a big deal about it because it's a wonderful place. It's an amazing place, and it's I love going to Germany. But one thing I love is having been disproved of the cliche that I'm taught all my life that they're not funny. They're very funny people. They just have a very calm. They're waiting for the joke to be really good. I mean, they're just efficient. That's what Germans are. But anyway, Sabine right out of the box with hey, did I miss something? I love that. Yes, it happened, my friend, and I showed up late for the handmaiden's fitting, obviously because this is the wrong size. Um, right, I need to lose a little weight, which we're doing that. We're trying that right now, but I got the wrong undersleeves and stuff. I know, but what do you think? They fitted me quickly, and Way Papa Muse, good to see you here, bro. And Way, you'll be very happy that today we're gonna talk about food. We're gonna talk, but I thought today's show would be about because it always has to have something to do with vegetarianism. How about being vegetarian in Texas, which I've done for decades and visiting. I've never lived there, but we're gonna talk about Texas today. And we're gonna talk about obviously we're gonna talk about um, new food items, and I love to talk about what y'all had for lunch, and we're going to talk about nutrition. We're going to talk about building our immune system, because I haven't focused back on that in a while. But those of you who know me know I hit the ground running in March of 2020, talking about immune system with all this stuff, right? Those of you know, and they're right here on Facebook. I leave everything. If you go on my Facebook somewhere right around March. I'm going to say somewhere between the 10th and the 15th of March, somewhere in there, I started talking about viral infections and the human immune system and what I know as a layperson. I'm a layperson, folks. I do not come on here and represent that I'm a medical doctor or an osteopath or a naturopath or a chiropractor or a clinician. I don't pretend that I'm a virologist, an epidemiologist, a biologist, a microbiologist. I don't pretend I'm a pharmacist or a chemist or a biochemist, or any other of the words that the people I debate don't even know. Tired of it. Tired of it. It's enough. The fucking conspiracy videos and the bullshit that your high school dropout buddy sent you. God. It's gotten old. So, yeah, it's time to be pissed off. So I'm not any of those things, but what am I? Some of you know, some of you don't know. The ones who do know, I'm sorry, you have to hear it again. My only qualifications. I'll start with, I'm an inquisitive, intelligent human being. And I'm one of the occupants of this planet. That's where it starts. So I want to find things out. If that's all I knew about myself, if that was my only self-conception, my self-perception, my self-concept, then that would be a pretty fun life. Just, yep, I'm on this planet. I'd like to know some stuff. Like, to me, that's enough, right? But then there's the scientific method and critical thought and looking for facts and all that. Where that comes in is my one certification of knowledge is I have a couple. I have a high school degree, which is, I'm finding out, is increasingly rare. You know, you can even get on a police force with a fucking GED. Did you know that? Yeah, a lot of places. Just a GED. That's fucking ridiculous. In some places, to be on the police force, it's a 2-year degree. In other places, a 4-year degree. I've read about some other countries where you gotta have a bachelor's and then train for a few years before they entrust you with the responsibility of an officer of, a peace officer. Here, go look it up. There are places in America, not the whole country. It's not what I said. That's the other thing. People hear what they want. I'm tired of that. I try to speak very clearly, and I'm happy to be corrected. I'm happy to be asked for clarification. I'm happy to be asked for sources, and I'm happy to clarify what's opinion and what's fact. But it's just gotten really stupid. Anyway, I have a degree in computer science, so I like math. I like statistics. I like all these things. And we've gotten to this part of the discussion where it just doesn't matter. Math and really being respectful about numbers on both sides. I think some of the people with questions about viruses and vaccines and everything, there's valid questions. Questions are great. I live for questions. The problem is when the answers come in, then the goalposts move, and that's not what I really meant, and I don't know. So I'm angry. I'm also, that's my part of my background. I was just finishing that, and so I like numbers. I like combinatorics. I like statistics. I like statistical density, as Frank Zappa would put it. I like looking at, things that are happening per capita, things that are happening across a population. I like looking at statistics around the globe and how that gives us some information about what's happening. And it's really been a tiring time because that's just increasingly rare, it seems, with the blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's it. My other thing, which pivots to natural foods and vegetarianism, which is why we're here. I know there's probably someone very angry at me because I'm not talking about my favorite veggie burger, and I got to work that out because I should be. and I will, and I do. But you also know that everything's connected, right? So, you know, um, the other thing I am is someone with nearly 20 years of natural foods retail, helping people, taking questions, steering people to a set of books to choose from, or a set of ideas, or maybe a list of foods to maybe pick from and try. So notice there's always built into there, not telling people what to do, but just giving them, steering them to, hey, here's a whole other window to look through. Here's a whole other list of ideas that maybe the mainstream hasn't given you. I'm not telling you do X, Y, Z. I'm saying you might not have heard of X, Y, Z. That. Here's some evidence behind it. Here's some reasons to think about it. And let's have a conversation. Let's have a dialogue. So that's how I've approached over 10,000 customers for almost 20 years. Natural foods, co-owning a store for well over a decade, working in another store for close to a decade, and then doing other stuff, running my own business, making organic, natural salsa, Mexican salsa, and so having to do things in a Board of Health approved kitchen and have certain permits and certain things on my label, and knowing about temperatures and distribution chains. And I did all the distributing myself. I drove all around half of New Jersey, and I think a little bit in Pennsylvania. Yeah, a little Philly. And just, I'm just saying this just because we're in this time now where there's a lot of stuff flying around, and I'm going to start challenging people and saying, where'd you get that info? How did you conclude that thing that you're saying? I don't think we're doing that enough. Anyway, that's my opening monologue. And let's get into some fun stuff. Today, of course, and I'm going to talk about this, I am dressed in solidarity with all women. With all women, especially the women of Texas, because this is bullshit. And we knew it was bullshit. We knew it was coming. We saw the warnings. We saw that Texas was adding to their long string of attacks on human rights and choice. And we're going to talk about all angles, and I'd love to hear from you if you disagree. Let's talk about it. I want to see, again, as I said before, with respect, how did you get there? Okay. Way Papa Muse says, wrap this hat in tinfoil. You know what? I might be wearing this a few more times, so I think I will. Props and thank you to my dear other half and one of my two dear sisters, because I think it was 2 years ago on my birthday, they know I love Handmaid's Tale, right? And the show, the TV show with Elizabeth Moss, right? Great production, great storytelling. Of course, it's a Margaret Atwood. Is that who wrote it? Brilliant. What a brilliant treatise on religious extremism and biblical literalism and right-wing fucking bullshit. All together. Fascism. All kinds of things. True forcing, and that's what I want to talk about, because we're in this thing where I don't want to be forced to do this or that. No one's forcing you. No one's forcing you. You want to look at forcing? Look at what happens in this book or in this movie, or just look at the news in Saudi Arabia, or Venezuela decades ago, Argentina decades ago. Argentina's still a mess, but I'm sorry, Venezuela. But people are really forced to do things, folks, around the world as we speak. North Korea, sure, you wouldn't want to be in a prison in Turkey right now. Anyway, so that's why I'm wearing this. If you don't know, now you know. Go watch Handmaid's Tale. Kevin Ritchie, how are you? And I'm saying hi back. You're going through physical therapy. All the best. Speedy recovery. Yes, this is my handmade garb, right. So Sabine, if you're saying what's that, please, hopefully I just explained it, but go look up Handmaid's Tale. It's a great book. This woman is still alive who wrote it, um, Margaret Atwood, right? And it's just a really a dystopian tale, if there ever was one, by Margaret Atwood. It kind of defines, uh, or it's one of the defining points of what's the word? I just said it, but I'm doing three things at once. It's one of the defining moments of dystopian tales, you know. And what's interesting, Margaret Atwood is also. I should try to invite her on the show. You know, she's a pescatarian. You know, did you know that? And she eats crustaceans and occasional fish. She says she won't eat anything with fur or feathers, but that's great. But she makes a lot of points in her writing, in a few of her writings. Um, at least three of her books, she talks about um, eating animals, and she compares, um, you know, killing animals to killing humans, and what you know, the beauty of a baby, and we protect a baby, and we love a baby. We see a baby, we would never try to hurt it, and she compares that to turkeys and other things. So Margaret Atwood has that other side, and there you go. See, I always tie it back to why we're here in the first place. But Margaret Atwood is still very much with us. I'm looking here. Let's see. I'm going to pull the book up for you that might not have heard of it. And on this wiki of the book, right up top is the a link to the TV show. So here we go. But she's 81 years old and still very much with us. Okay, so Benny, what's up? Tra to Benny Rodriguez. Yep, I'm yelling a little bit today because it's time to yell. Sorry if people are offended. It's time to yell. Shit has gone on too long. Yep, I'm yelling a little bit today because it's time to yell. There you go. You even get to hear it twice. All right, so I guess I did miss something. No, Sabine, you missed nothing. You jumped right on. That was just me in the front talking about this outfit. Benny, oh, you're in Pennsylvania, side of the highway broke down waiting for a tow truck. Oh no, tra! You still have a tra for that. So Waze says the police here in the U.S. were the high school bullies. You know, some of them were. I always defend good cops, and I slam bad cops. Yin yang. I don't, you know. But the good cops, there's some great cops. And maybe I'm a little biased. I have two family members that are cops or were cops, and probably I thought I had another family member, like a cousin or something. But anyway, two that I can get on the phone right now, kind of thing, that I know well, and then I think a distant relative. Not important, other than to say I will defend good cops always. And then I have, I know, I have friends who cops and ex-cops, and then the third area is there are cops I have dealt with who are really cool and doing their own job. I think when you own a business too, a lot of things change, and one of them is, which I co-owned a natural foods business. I think you need the cops sometimes. You need things happen, and just in life, there's some saying like a liberal is a conservative. No, someone who hasn't been mugged yet, right? Um, some it's a silly metaphor because it's not really that great, but the part about once you get mugged, suddenly cops are. But anyway, so I would disagree if you're saying that categorically, like police were the bullies in high school. Some of them absolutely is true. Yes, absolutely. Some of the biggest asshole, jock, bully, scumbag, fascist, racist pieces of garbage that I was around in high school, and there's quite a few. Yeah, I think a couple of them became cops, and yeah, that does happen. So you're correct, but it's just not all cops. And I think the thing going forward is to get the people who support cops to admit that first part. These back the blue people don't ever want to admit that some segment of the total number of police are not that great. And then many on the left need to admit the mathematical reality that many cops are awesome, fine men and women. They are fine people. They really wake up in the morning trying to make a difference, trying to keep us safe, trying to solve crimes, trying to prevent crimes, trying to, just help us from causing harm from each other. That's it, to each other. So that's true. Our job is how do we get more of the latter, right? Okay, so Kevin Ritchie, computer science about paper data cards back in your day. Yeah, I was there. I had I've saved programs on cassette, on floppy disk. I have a floppy disk right here. Mm. Turn that over so you can read it. These are samples from my still working in Sonic Mirage. But look at that, huh? Maxell. This one's Maxell MF1 double density. They still work though. Hats off to Maxell. What is this? So tiny. Single-sided, double density, double track. I'm looking for how much space is on here because it's got to be. We would laugh, right? our 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 smartwatches today have more than these things. I think these were 350 megabyte though. And someone know? I can't remember. I have no idea. I'm guessing. But I think right were these like 50 megabytes? I don't know. 350? I don't know. It's literally something I haven't had to care about for decades. But I use those. So yeah, man, I used cassette. Those things, the bigger ones, right? The floppies. I used paper tape. The very first computer I used had paper tape that you had to be careful feeding it in. It would rip. So, oh, Christopher says, have I started another career? I'm always, bro, because the old one's broken. I'm thinking about it. uh, uh, so coming back to your wonderful points and questions. So Waze says you still eat meat, mostly birds, but rarely do I spend money for animal flesh. I will call it that. Sorry. Instead, I go to the food pantry. That way, it doesn't go to waste. I get organic chicken mostly, and also the fake meat products. Okay, so there's a couple things, because that's what the show's about, interacting with your points. So that's fine. You and I have talked about this many times. The actual fact that you want to consume animal flesh, that's fine. I I seek to change that in as many people as I can, but with respect and with facts and figures and information. Um, so yeah, that's fine, man. It feels like as long as you don't feel like there's any guilt for that. My show is called Meatless Monday, not Meatless Life, not vegetarian existence or anything like that. I'm very, very careful about that. That I'm here to welcome those who consume animal flesh, animal muscle. Um, it's funny, we don't actually eat the most nutrient dense part of an animal. I keep saying I'm going to do a show about that. I have a list of stuff, like topics to hit on this show. And that's one of them. So that's a whole funny sidebar. If we really wanted to be efficient about eating animals, we'd eat liver and kidneys and hearts and brain. We would eat all this stuff that is vastly more nutrient dense than the muscle, which is what we eat. But anyway, having said that, uh, that's great that you're going to a food pantry. Absolutely, I salute you with that irony. That you're right. That this way it doesn't sit there and hopefully they use up everything, and hopefully there's no hungry person in Ithaca. I think you're talking about in Ithaca. Hopefully everyone gets that's tragedy, right? If a food pantry has to throw away food. So I hope not. And that's great that you have a choice to actually pick organic chicken. Wow, that's truly a hippie town right there. Even the food pantry has organic chicken. That's great. And then you say the fake meat products, which I have an issue with that. They're not fake. They're not fake. And I always make a point about that phrase because fake means um, truly artificial, right? That's what fake means. Fake means uh, there's not much of a modicum of uh, uh, um, uh, you know, realness about it. And in the case of food, and we can get really esoteric and philosophical at this moment, but let's zoom in on food. If we're talking about food, and if it's made of peas and soybeans and wheat and garlic and onions and apple cider vinegar and tomato juice and tomato sauce and you got my point. If it's made of those things, it's real. It's not fake. What is fake is something that is, you know, just a string of, you know, sodium hydrophosphate or, you know, I don't know, hexapentatonic, you know, bilateral bisodium, you know, you get my point. Things that they literally have constructed in a laboratory. Um, and we really, language is so important. We really got to be careful about that. Notice I don't say things like chemicals this and chemicals that, because water is two elements, right? It's hydrogen and oxygen. It's chemicals. It's you study chemistry to understand blood pH, let's say, or you know. So I'm very careful. We're eating chemicals, right? A vegan burger or a steak has chemicals in it, right? And they did 5,000 years ago. Now let's see. Vegan burgers don't go back 5,000 years. You know, tempeh and seitan are thousands of years old. I would have to check that whether it's five, but several thousand years ago, the Buddhist Chinese and other parts of Asia that we call Bhutan and Tibet and things like that now, they were making alternatives to meat. And that's the word I would offer up as a more honest word. Fake's not an honest word because it implies what you see on a list of fucking, I don't know, Doritos or you know, what's in the chicken at Wendy's or McDonald's, right? You look and it says chicken, but then it's got all kinds of, yes, artificiality. And it does, like a chicken nugget, does have a mix, right? It's going to have wheat flour and salt and, you know, butter flavor and all kinds of things that come from the real world, right? But it's the other stuff that makes it fake. So I take issue with that, and I always push back hard. Sorry, no disrespect, but I'm here to educate people. I don't want people to think of some of these. It's a wide spectrum too. Some are better than others. Some have more chemicals, quote unquote, and I put quotes around that, more artificial stuff in it than others. Don't get me wrong. There are many alternative meat products that are garbage, absolutely garbage. I'm not saying they're all handmade with hey, get it? Pause for laughter. Um, I'm not saying they're all handmade, and you could do them in your garden, but in general, they lean in that direction, and they're not fake. So anyway, I think I've made that point, and I offer that to other people. Don't let people tell you you're eating fake food. Check the ingredients. If it's fake, it's fake, right? Because there is some stuff. We could go all day on like the Impossible Burger and like the one or two things in there that are GMO or they're right on the line. Where's the line? If the yeast is GMO, is the whole thing GMO? I love that discussion because then we got to start talking about beer. We got to start talking about wine. We got to start talking about bread. We got to start talking about all kinds of savory kind of spice blends that are in mainstream foods and soups and things. Because then we're going to talk about Where's the line? So I love that. But one of my favorite areas. So that's great to close on Way's comment that you're getting free food. I love it. You're a freegan, as they call it. Or I'm not going to tell you what you are, but you're doing things that I have other friends do that, and they say I'm a freegan because they get free food and they will eat whatever it is. Sabine gives me an endorsement for yelling. Thank you very much, my friend. Oh, but I'm quite low on volume. Well, that's good because the yelling. Let's turn that all up then. Hey, someone tell me if my volume is better. Let's see. 1, 2, 1, 1. Hey, yeah. Let me know. Is that better? Wade says they're certainly good cop, but the job allows them to exert power and to be tough guys. I know, but that doesn't make the bad ones bad. See, again, one of my favorite things. Exerting power is fine. That's the whole thing. We're giving police a special job in our society. It really is. It's the only job, actually. Only job that's non-military, only civilian job where we grant them the power to take a life without a trial or they do. They have that power. If someone's coming at a cop and they got a shot, let's just make the worst example and work backwards. But if someone's coming at a police officer, let's say the police officers have come upon a scene, you name it, a bank robbery, a liquor store holdup, angry spouse arriving to kidnap his child from the estranged wife. I could go all day. But let's say the cops arrive and they police, come out of the, and this person comes out with a shotgun and they go and they're hitting the cop cars, right? They are firing on police. I'm using the worst example. That police, and I'm fine with it. That's the society I'm fine living in. That's the society I'm fine paying property taxes and federal and state taxes for. I'm fine to give that person a paycheck that they are now allowed to remove the breath from that human being. Yeah. That's what we're granting them, Way. We're giving them the right to end a life when, with a long set of rules, they can conclude, often in a split second, that this is one of the times. It's a list. It's a very finite list. Again, with the math. It's not infinite. It's finite. It's a list of times that we're saying to these officers, yep, you can take that life. You need to do this. Because they're going to kill the baby and the wife and the sister who's visiting and the neighbors. Because this happens all the time. And again, I'm positing that the guy is yelling, I'm going to kill everyone. So a threat's been... So anyway, I think you're wrong about that. It's fine to exert power. And the job does not make you a tough guy. It gives you a set of options. So I'm still going to stand on our job is to weed out bad cops, punish them greatly. Yeah, make it hurt. Understand that I have an inverse kind of commitment to the one I just said, that the bad guy and gal cops should feel it. They should lose their jobs. This is all when it's appropriate. Suffer consequences from prison and fines and all kinds of things. So, okay. But we should do a whole other show just on cops. I don't want to get drawn too far into cops, unless it's vegetarian cops. Richie says, a box of 2 Maxells and 3.5 floppies. Yeah, that's great. Dig out the drives. Yeah, I have a few drives in the house that work. Yeah. Most folks don't grab the organic food. Yeah. That's funny, Way. Maybe explore that. Yeah. Again, meat substitutes implies that we need meat. I mean, I'm a bulldog on this stuff. I don't let stuff go if it is inconclusive and simply a bit inaccurate. You're substituting for meat only because we have a cultural mistaken thing that we need meat. I don't have to substitute for meat. I do not substitute for meat. How about that? Nor do, I'm going to say, hundreds of millions of human beings, possibly billions, once you think about India. We're not substituting. Because that puts meat on some pedestal. It puts flesh on some ideal. It's not. I'm not substituting for meat, and you shouldn't either. What those things are sources of protein, sources of iron, sources of B vitamins, A vitamins, D, E, K. You know, that's what they are. They're sources of essential fats. They're sources of fiber, right? They're sources of all kinds of things. You get the point. But you're not substituting for anything. Celine, how are you? Well, thank you. It's is this a hat or it's a bonnet? I think they call it in the book. But thank you. And my ill-fitting. That's my goal. I got to get to my goal weight, which will make me look pretty good in the handmaid's outfit. Thank you, Isabel Holmes. Hopefully you're still on. But I just saw your comment, your message. Thank you, Celine. So Roy says all that maltodextrin. And that's one of the more benign ones, really. That's the thing. And you know, that's what I love about this stuff. It's we really have to go case by case. I'm not a fan of maltodextrin, let me say. But I also, it's relatively benign. You know, it's just from a starch, right? It's from corn and rice and different things. Yeah, highly processed is why I'll eat something if I had a bag of some fucking vegan snacks and it was whatever, corn or cassava and salt and garlic and some kind of oil and hot pepper and then 9 things down on the thing says maltodextrin. Yeah, I'll eat it. It's fine. We're gonna die. It doesn't, and I'm not being flippant about that, but I'm just saying that the 6th or 9th thing on the ingredients is literally like. But to your point, I do avoid maltodextrin, and I just do try to eat actual vegetables and fruits. That's mostly what we eat. Today's lunch, which I snoozed on getting a picture of, a wonderful raw salad that my other half made, cukes, yellow peppers, onions, garlic, different spices, black pepper, cayenne, things like that, a little sea salt, a little olive oil. What else is in there? Cukes, red pepper, orange pepper, yellow pepper. Something else was in there, maybe some avocado. Anyway, that's mostly where you can't go wrong. Just eat some friggin' fruits and vegetables. This isn't hard. Sabina says, Andre's a multi-talent. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that. Musician, well, this goes into a tricky area. Musician, matchmaker. Oh, that's right. I'm always trying to hook you up. Musician, matchmaker, food advisor, guitar tech, fashionist, and Chinese guy. So, while I possibly have a tiny bit of Chinese in my DNA, because people from Guyana, it's a melting pot of all kinds of things. Africa, India, China, Portugal, England, Aboriginal South Americans, multiple African, not just African, but all. Anyway, you're talking about this thing, obviously. Now it's really from The Handmaid's Tale. So Wei says eating the food from the pantry. Yes, and as you know, my brother, I said that at the top, and I understand that that's the reason behind it. Please don't take any of my comments as offensive, or don't be defensive about it. Not at all critiquing that you go to a food pantry. I was just going into some of the language there. That's all. And yes, you're preaching to the choir. We vote with our spending. The whole show is about that. So yeah, we're on the same page. you know, let's see. So, use the food pantry 7 years. Yeah, since the panorama, I've not used it. That's a good take on all this. It's a panorama. I think that's probably a typo, but it's absolutely correct. This is a panorama, Sharon says. It'd be interesting to dissect how farm subsidies prop up cruel factory practices, how much the animal flesh actually costs. Yeah. Um, yeah, well, they do. Yeah, and not only that, but farm subsidies prop up. Uh, let's. I mean, geez, a lot of pesticides which end up in our groundwater. How apples are grown, all kinds of things, healthy things. Apples and broccoli and lettuce and soybean and corn. If you're getting subsidies, and you're a mainstream farmer, of course, not organic, which they don't really subsidize to any significant level. But if you're getting our tax dollars for mainstream farming, sadly, yes, you use it for, like you said, very abusive farm factory processes and practices, and you're using it for chemicals to spray on the crops and things like that. Yeah. So that's a whole thing that we're broken on that, and that's very different in the EU, in Paraguay and Uruguay, and some of these countries in South America, Chile, Peru. Google this, folks. Organic revolutions going on in some of these other countries that we never talk about. It's gross. I'm from South America, so I'm extra defensive about South America, and it never comes up, generally, except for the bad things, right? The minute there's a coup in Colombia or military action against civilians, bam, everyone's an expert. I love that shit. Venezuela, whenever it spills out of the prescribed, the limits that none of these people worry about as long as the oil is flowing, as soon as it happens, bam, it's on the news, and every jackass is suddenly an expert on Venezuela. And so I'm offering to people, go Google Uruguay organic food, or Uruguay LGBT rights, or Uruguay legalization of marijuana. They did it before Canada. Go Google Chile organic farming, Peru organic farming, Brazil vegetarianism. You'll be amazed at all of those. Shit's happening like wildfire in those countries where it's the 21st century, and they're responding to a changing market and some changing environmental responsibilities. Sorry, folks, with my bonnet, which I've been forced to wear, you're hearing all the microphone noise. My earphones are a little, they can't go under the bonnet, so I'm probably gonna take this off shortly, but it's kind of comfortable. Okay, so Celine, it wasn't wears a bonnet. Yes. So Celine, if you got here a little late, oh yes, so you realize I'm giving tribute to The Handmaid's Tale, the book by Margaret Atwood, which is now a TV series. Excellent, I think. It's got some flaws, but I think the overall impact and what they set out to say, fantastic. So if you haven't, please watch it. It's scary because it's not that implausible, really. Many sci-fi and dystopian fiction narratives are really far-fetched. I mean, thousands of years away technologically and all that. This one is a little scary how close to home. Tahini dressing on salads. Psh, super win, Sharon. Love tahini. Put it on all kinds of things. Salads, tempeh. Good fat. Tahini is sesame seeds, folks, for those of you who don't have that in your pantry. Really great, delicious as an ingredient, too. Making dressings. I make a fast dressing all the time. I just got a little mixing bowl that I'm going to use the whole amount, It's just a small, a little bit of tahini, a little bit of olive oil, just a bit, or sesame oil if I'm going for an Asian kind of a thing. pinch of sea salt, black pepper. Those are almost everything. Uh, a little chili powder or paprika if I'm looking for a smoky thing. Uh, Either chop some fresh garlic in there or some garlic powder, or we have a bottle of lightly sautéed garlic sitting in olive oil, like 100 cloves. When it's a full thing, that we can just go and have garlic ready to go. So garlic that you can mash into a salad dressing, amazing. And then some lemon juice. That's it. You have an incredible kind of Mediterranean type of flavor profile there with tahini, the bite of the lemon. If you don't have lemon, a little spritz of any kind of vinegar, white vinegar, apple cider, ume plum, rice vinegar, just to get that acidity with the fat. That's one of the, to me, most incredible combinations of flavor profile. But yeah, tahini. It's stellar and loaded with nutrients. Um, Roy, no, I'm with you, bro. Maltodextrin, and again, not like pushing back on you per se, but I think what happens is if you don't round these things out, then people they go, well, that's poison. Well, it's not poison. There's a range, there's a spectrum between poison and I don't know, a mango, something perfect in nature, an apple or something, um, uh, and it's about where do we drop the needle, and so maltodextrin is in the long list of things, closer to the benign side. But as I said, still something I agree with you that I will put it back on the shelf and just get some nuts, otherwise. So I'm with you. Um, but I also would have it if someone says, here's a vegan pot pie we made, but they dusted the pan with maltodextrin to lift it back out or something. Yeah, there's any million reasons. But that sucks. So you have a symptom related reason for that. It raises your heart rate. You feel like it raises your heart rate. Okay, so that sounds like you're not sure, and sends a craving response that causes me to want more. There you go. Well, the test for that would be find that exact snack product without maltodextrin, right? And see if, or as close to exact as you can get, and see if you have the same heart rate thing. That's where stuff gets tricky, and I'm glad you put some room in there that, well, I don't know if it's exactly that, but, and that's another thing that I'm trying to fold into my discussions to get us to, this applies to vaccines and side effects from the vaccines and things like that. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of causality. There's a lot of, well, this happened, therefore it was because of this. Well, you don't know that. We have to, So you just remind me that that's a big area. But yeah, I'm with you, bro. Fortunately, I don't see maltodextrin much at all. The things that I buy or pick, it's like 2 or 3 times a year. Do I even see that word? Whey is not offended. That's good, because I'm going to be more in everyone's face because we're in a war in America for some simple things, for our voting rights, for our self-determination, and and that's just general terms, but in specific terms, this bullshit that went on in Texas for the umpteenth time in Texas is using the word wake up call as a cliche, because it doesn't seem to matter how many wake up calls we get, but it's a time to call out some hypocrisy, which I'm going to do. So Sharon says panorama, parallelogram, panini, pandemonium. Also, we don't get in trouble saying pandemic, right? Really? Is that can you not say that? Is there a Facebook thing? I can't keep track. I'm not on here enough. A friend from Santiago de Chile. Fascinating recent history. Yeah, they're not many years out from the dictatorship. Yeah, Chile's interesting. I've been there twice on tour. Yeah, in about 2006 or 7, and when was it? 2019, I think. Yeah. So yeah, it's a beautiful place, and it's I love South America, having been born on that soil. So I'm always happy to learn more things. So wait, where's my? I lost my Facebook comments. What's going on? Ba 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 ba. Do 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 do. All right, I'm loving your comments, everyone. By the way, thank you. Yeah, so South America in general, we're talking many people over the age of 20 or 30 know a life in a dictatorship, sure, or some kind of, you know, any one of the isms or achis, monarchy, democracy, oligarchy, whatever the right word is for those styles of government. You know, they've seen a bunch of different shit down there. You know, and yeah, it's a mixed bag. The country I was born in, and I lived only for 5 years, saw all kinds of types of government. Now it's a parliamentary democracy, you know, with a lot of fucking criminality. Celine says, "Where's tahini sold in the States?" Great. Almost every supermarket at this point. You know, the supermarket thing in America has been incredible to watch. And when I say America, I mean America. I always press people on that, and they often mean, well, the one I go to, like 7 miles away. Have you ever been to supermarkets outside of your town? Well, not really, but I'm talking about an American. So I'm just going to get a little more in your face about that. It's a new, I'm dedicated to not being so much of a nice guy when I smell bullshit. So when I say, though, supermarkets in America, I've really been to supermarkets all up and down Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Virginia, all up and down New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, in Vermont, in Montreal, in Quebec, and Toronto. Awesome supermarkets there. I've been to supermarkets in Illinois, in Indiana, in Kansas. I've been to many in Colorado, a few in Utah. You know, I've been to supermarkets all around California, all around Texas. You know, I've been to one or two in Louisiana, Arkansas. It was a Walmart in Arkansas, but been there for food, for the supermarket part. You get the point. Yeah, I live in North Carolina, but I've been to supermarkets in Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky, everywhere around here. Um, all the Northeast, as I said, you know, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Vermont, New Hampshire, Vermont, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey. Um, and that forms a snapshot. And so I love this topic, and I could do a whole show just on the evolution of retail in the USA. As I'm talking about, I've been to supermarkets in 15 other countries, but for now, the US. And it's been amazing to watch this evolution. I started traveling around said USA in about 30 years ago, right? It's going to be 30 years in just a couple months, in 3 months. Yeah, in about 3.5 months, 30 years of circumnavigating the USA. Before that, I'd been to 5 or 6 states, you know. But I've worked in 48 contiguous states, and I love that story. So yeah, you know, Celine, that's the good news. Most supermarket chains, again, you're gonna find some place that's a bit smaller of a population and things like that. But most of the big supermarket chains, they're great now, but they all have an international section. Sometimes they cram us all together, and the Mexican food is with the Israeli food, is with the English food, is with the German food, and all that. But I love that because America, it's one of the beautiful things about America, has so many different people from all around. They want their food. Indians, Germans, English people, Jamaicans, Nigerians, right? They're all here. Italians, Poles. So we have this stuff. So tahini, almost anywhere. Certainly every natural food store. I can't imagine a natural food store. It is a staple. So you'll find that. So yeah, and then as you're saying, a Turkish market, or a any of the Levant countries. If you go to a store with that focus, you'll always find tahini. In other words, a Moroccan store, an Egyptian store, Turkish store, as you said, Israeli store, a Lebanese store. Um, yeah, love it. So tahini, we probably have two or three types of tahini. We have a wonderful Middle Eastern place in town. We have like two or three, but one of them, it's called Gypsy Queen, and it's a wonderful woman named Susie Salwa Phillips, dear friend. We've gotten to meet her and hung out at concerts and things. She's a sweetheart, but she's also really dedicated to a mostly plant-based operation, and she now has two restaurants and a food truck. And yes, there's some lamb and a few chicken dishes, but it's amazing how friendly to plant-based. 90% of her menu is Middle Eastern food, which mostly is plant-based. And so she's great because she's a real snapshot of the Mediterranean diet, where yes, there's some flesh, but it's a little slice compared to the eggplant and the roasted eggplant, or the baba ganoush, the lentil soups, the things they do with chard and different greens, the things they do, the whether it's baklava or the different phyllo dough type desserts, and the things they do, wonderful things with tea flavoring and honey and dates. There's many things that show up repeatedly in that cuisine. Olives and olive oil, lemons, chickpeas and lentils, and the 50 things you can make with all of that. And then vegetables, just vegetables. We love eating from her place because vegetables, but she's turned this corner and modernized Middle Eastern food with, she's got a vegan shawarma using a seitan, like a wheat gluten type thing. Again, an alternative to meat. You don't need to substitute, because that implies that we need meat to survive, to live. Again, I get it. That's right on the line. Yes, you're substituting it on that line in the recipe. I know. But I want us to get to the kind of language crystal, spiritual power stuff that's in words. Language has become increasingly important. I'm obsessed with it. I spend a bunch of time every day looking at what's happening with language in a couple dozen areas, but that's one of them. So this Middle East focused place, she's Lebanese, but it's kind of a diaspora menu. I applaud everyone. I'm sorry. I applaud her, and I encourage everyone to find a place near you if you're lucky enough to have Middle Eastern grocery and a restaurant, because you will find very easily a very friendly plant-based situation. Isabel, how are you? Isabel says they buy tahini in the 9-pound bucket. I know, we really need to do that. It's been a while. Which one do you get? Which one do you like? I've bought the Joyva, the old school from Brooklyn tahini. I've bought that in a 9-pound bucket. They're about that big. And back in my co-op days, we would have what was that, about a 30-pound bucket, the big bucket. And one of the jobs was to stir that so it's nicely mixed up. You turn it upside down overnight, and then you get it all consistent, and then repackage it into little 16 ounces. So I've dealt with a lot of tahini, and it's a staple. A diesel balsamic vinegar, yes. Oh yeah. I've always got 6 types of vinegar, yes. A decent balsamic that's less expensive. A really good one. There's a guy at our farm market who makes an incredible handmade. I mean, you got to pour this stuff. You got to wait for it to slowly. That's the real deal, like Italian balsamic. But yeah, and the flavor profile on different balsamics is different. I've got some. Well, no, that's truffle oil. I've got ume plum vinegar, which is made from the umeboshi plum, Japanese. We've got regular Heinz white vinegar for when we're boiling put half a pot of vinegar and boil some potatoes. Wow, that's amazing. Robin has discovered and optimized that kind of recipe. You get this English vinegar potato type thing, and then you mash them with just something like this or anything, and suddenly they're just like a potato patty, that big. And then you bake them. Wow. Bake them, a really hot oven till they're just browning and crispy, and then take them out, sea salt, sprinkle a little English malt vinegar. Oh, man. Are you kidding me? Crack cocaine. Crack cocaine. For $5 or $6 a bag of organic potatoes. It's awesome. So yeah, vinegar is our friend and great for digestion and important fermented food. So yes, Celine, getting that answer from Sharon also. Sure, you find it in all kinds of places. Sabine says, yeah, sorry. Thank you for supporting my insanity. No more Mr. Nice Guy. No more Mr. Clee. I started too low. Mr. Clee. It's that high. Yeah, so it's no more Mr. Nice Guy. No more Mr. Clee. No more Mr. Nice Guy. They say he's sick. He's upset. And then Neil Smith. That's right. I will do any song that I know. That's part of the feature of this show. FaceTime on Facebook. Oh, my mic level went down. Jeez, maybe it's this. Gotta put it right there. Is my voice level okay? Hey, I should have put some reverb on that. No more Mr. Nice Guy. That's a little better. Wow. Check. No more Mr. Clee. That's a little. I'm still learning this. I got this cool mixer used at a pawn shop where I do most of my shopping, apparently. Let's see, there's a plate reverb. That would be nice. Yeah. Check. Hey. One. All right. We're wasting time now. But you get the picture. So let's keep talking about some new foods. I do that every week. Last week was exciting because I ended with some news at how Jay-Z is spending all this money on helping some food companies that are producing vegan cheeses, vegan stuff. So I love that. You got very low. Can you hear me, folks? Just let me know if I think I just moved the microphone away by accident. Sorry. It's this handmade thing. See how hellish it's going to be in Gilead when I'm trying to do my show? God. Let's turn that down. Yeah. Here we go. Hello. Hooray! Let the lights grow dim. I've been ready. Hello. Hooray! Let the crowds come in. I've been ready. Ready as this audience. All right, we're just doing a mic test there. We're not going to do music. As long as you can hear me. Okay, so, yeah, Isabel, stirring tahini that was a lot of work. I learned a lot in my co-op days because you do everything from scratch. It was awesome. Okay, Once Again, beautiful company. My first time having Once Again nut butters was in like 1989, So I'm old school, and I'm so grateful to have learned from some great people uh, when I first joined a co-op in the late 80s. Okay, so potato chips, yes, those are delicious. Thank you. Alice Cooper is part of my DNA. Love him. One of my earliest, I mean really early, like 8 years old, getting into Muscle of Love and stuff. Grape molasses, yeah, sure, right. I forgot that one. And there's so many vinegars. I have lots of them, and it's incredible. Okay, pekmez, it's called. Thank you. I did not know that name. They mix it with tahini, eat as a kind of dessert snack. I probably had that because we did have some stuff that was very. They said, "Oh, there's tahini in that," and I didn't know the rest of the stuff. And there was something like, what's that spice mix? Anyway, great. I miss Turkey. It was a wonderful trip. Celine, how are you doing with? Well, first off, share with us, Celine. Are you in Turkey again, or you came back? I know you travel, but where are you? And how's your plant-based journey? And is there any things that you'd like to talk about? Wow, Meg. I gotta listen to Meg. Hey, 1 2 1 2 1 1 1 1. Meg says more volume, and Meg. If someone that works at a club says more volume, then you know you need more volume. Hey, 1 2. I think that's better, right? Check 1 2. Yeah, is that better? Yeah. Hey. Tell me if that's better, folks. Investing in vegan gluten-free foods, yeah, awesome. That's true. So anyway, props to Jay-Z. I might lose video if I even touch this cable, but let's try that. Okay. Yeah, props to Jay-Z and Beyonce and their beautiful family. But Jay-Z, man, 444, that record, please. There's people complain that there's no good music. There's too much. I can't keep up. Do you know Jay's 444 thing? It's a couple years old, 4 years old. Wow, that is a badass album. I didn't think about that recently until I brought up Jay-Z. But not only cranking out great music, but thank you, the rich people of the world. Whether it's Bill Gates. I like that he helps build wells in Botswana. Why is that bad? I like that George Soros thinks that people should have access to education. So, I like that, Jay-Z and Kanye West write checks so that, helping people who were wrongly imprisoned or on death row can get their start, I like that Kanye is paying for George Floyd's daughter to go to college, So, Celine, you're still in Turkey. Okay, I will internalize that, and I will not ask you till November. Sorry, now that I know. My mistake. I thought you were somewhere else for a minute a couple weeks ago. Meg, how are you, my dear friend? How is the Jersey Shore? How is your plant-based journey? And how's Scott doing? How's the club doing? I will check in otherwise, but always good to have your support here. So what I'm going to share is, this is great because I have a couple of news items, as we always do sometime into the show, is besides the Jay-Z news. And I'm going to start, I got 3 cool news items here, but I'm going to start because Nein, sprechen Sie Deutsch? Bitte, meine Damen. We have some news from Berlin. How exciting is this? 4 universities in Berlin are dropping the vast majority of animal flesh. Look at this, folks. Berlin. Now, again, in our mind, We have this image of Germans that all they eat is meat and sausage and wurst and yes, they do eat lots of that. I mean, it's everywhere in Germany, but they eat lots of vegetables. They eat lots and lots of fruits, vegetables, foods from around the world. So yes, let me scroll this up so you can actually read it as I answer an important message. But look at that, 34 different cafeterias across the city. They're going to do this, and they're going to have a mix. There's going to be just a couple fish options, quite a few vegetarian options, and overwhelmingly completely plant-based options. Look at that. And I'll put the link, as I always do, so you can read this fully on your own time and pass it on. Let's see. Sorry, folks. This is a super important thing I'm quickly responding to, but hopefully you're reading that. Marinated beets, grilled sweet potatoes, sesame seeds in a grain bowl. That's a nice one. Nothing like grain bowls. I'm starting to eat a little bit more rice and grains. Look at that. That's delicious. If I walked in to my college cafeteria and that was the option, wow, powerhouse. And this is quite European. When I'm in Germany and Netherlands and Norway and Switzerland, so kind of the northern, central to northern countries, this is very, very Iceland. We had some meals like this in Iceland. Very simple, folks. There's a couple grains technically if you count the corn and the rice. There's some, looks like lentils or some sort of legume or bean. There's some scallions that are chopped up or some kind of allium family. Some lovely looking juicy cherry tomatoes, some black olives, and some kind of looks like zucchini, squash, courgette, whatever you want to call it. Who knows what nice little vinaigrette might be in there. And then some parsley. Now let's think about this for a minute. What's going on here? You've got it all. You've got it all. That's a complete meal. You've got protein. You've got carbohydrates. You've got fats in the olives, in the beans, a little bit in the corn. You've got fiber. You've got carotenoids and bioflavonoids and all those fancy things you keep reading about. They're just right there in the tomatoes and the squash and the olives and all this stuff. You've got these cancer-fighting properties that we know are in that allium family. Whatever that is, it's a leek or scallion or something like that. I can't really make out from the size of this picture. But you got it. You got protein, a whole host of, fat-soluble vitamins, B vitamins, and iron, and there's calcium happening there, potassium. I mean, I could go on, but you get the picture. The basics that you want to check off on a daily basis, the carbohydrates and fats. Nice blend. And of course the Germans were efficient. I'd love to be in the room because some Germans sat down and said, yeah, there must be all of the nutrients that human beings must have. We have to have the protein and this carbohydrate with a K and all of this stuff. So we make this design and we do it very well, very well. So there you have it. Germans are ditching meat to fight climate change. Do you ever think you'd see that paragraph, that sentence? So we've talked about Vegans, the big vegan grocery chain. And my dear friend, Stacy Tunis was a guest of mine a long time ago, and we're going to bring her back on. But she works at Vegans, and she translates. She's an American. We're living in Germany many, many years. Look at that. Burger King. And in Köln, we know it as Cologne, Germany, they've got a completely meatless Burger King location. How about that? Looks like it was for some period of time, but still. Look, folks, the point here is they're talking about it. And I won't read the whole article, but obviously the Dutch are in that article, the Germans are in that article. These are folks with a lot of, absolutely, they do have flesh foods in their long history. But I love that they are approaching it and checking it out and responding to what younger generation is asking and what the different things, they're just having a discussion. I'm not saying they're doing it perfectly. I'm not saying there's not packaging or traveling issues or carbon footprint. All of these things we have to keep talking about. But to make this big step forward and say, let's take some of the economic, what's the word? Focus. Away from the big industrial animal slaughter machine is brilliant. It's just brilliant. Okay, so German is so hard because it's like my name plus 7 syllables for the most basic words. How do German children learn how to read? My God. You need a nap getting through the first couple words. Studierenden Werk. But once you get it, it's very Studierenden Werk. Studierenden Werk. Studierenden Werk. Yeah. And it's like weird off-time music. Studierendenwerk. Studierendenwerk. It's like is that like in 5/4? Studierendenwerk. Wow, Germans. They speak in 5/4. That's why you like prog music and weird music in Germany. You're speaking in odd times. You're speaking in 5/4, 7/4, 11/4. I love it. I just cracked the code on some Stockhausen. Holy shit. Now I get it. Tangerine Dream. All those sequences that are in odd times. They're just talking. All right. But hats off to Germany, to the Germans. Celine, yes, Freddie Mercury's birthday was yesterday. In fact, we celebrated. I thank you for bringing that up. I woke up, and there's a connection. Brian May, longtime vegetarian, probably close to 50 years of vegetarian life. Very healthy guy, and he could be healthy without being a vegetarian, but that's his reasons for it. But Brian May also very outspoken about the fox hunt and abuse of animals in England. Love it. Love that he doesn't shut up. I love when artists speak their mind, even if I disagree. I'm fine with Ted Nugent speaking his mind. I'm consistent about it. Go ahead, Ted Nugent. That's part of your art, man. You're a racist. It's okay. I know that's a little harsh. He's man. Should we label Ted Nugent a racist? He's kind of crossed the line a few times too many. But setting that aside, we're here to talk about animals and plant-based food and all that stuff. So Ted is he's a hunter, and I respect that because he's at least staying outside of that. Again, the thing I talk about every week. That mainstream, mechanized, artificial chemical, artificial compound creation of weird foods for these animals. These animals are over-vaccinated. They are shot up with steroids, growth hormones, all kinds of stuff. And I gotta applaud Ted. He's always said that's not good place to get your animal protein if you so choose. So I do applaud him. So I applaud Brian May on the other side for saying, no, eating animals is cruel, unthinkable, and not that healthy for you in the long run, in the amounts that we eat. So yesterday was a Queen Day. Queen is also one of the most important chunks of art that I've ever encountered in my life. And I carry them with me many times when I pick up a guitar. I'll do some Queen riffs, and I'm thinking about Brian May. So yesterday, a special day, like a holiday around here. So I'll tell you, I woke up at about 6 or 6:30 in the morning, put my little Bluetooth headphones on, and listened to the entire 1978 masterpiece by Queen. They have several, but I listened to the one called Jazz, which is so clever because there's no jazz on it. But yes, Celine, that's awesome that you're a Freddie Mercury fan, and as somebody who lives in Turkey, you probably know. Hopefully, do you know that album? Because the beginning of it, you put that on, and it changed my life hearing that at 13. But it's the kind of thing you might hear on the street in Turkey or in Syria or in Saudi Arabia or something, because it comes on and Freddie Mercury goes, Ibrahim, Ibrahim, Ibrahim. Allah, 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 Allah will pray for you. Ibrahim. I don't know the song. Anyway, it's cool because when you're 13, that's the first time you hear these. What is that? And you hear all those almost minor seconds of Arabic music, Turkish music, Persian music. Wow, I was listening back yesterday. Now I know what some of this stuff is, and I'm hearing the fretless guitar and the lack of kind of Western diatonic stuff or chromatic stuff. And so yeah, listen to Queen Jazz yesterday, which is a masterpiece. Incredible, everything about it. The minimalism of it. It's a very, very bare. Those records actually. We think about prog music, which they leak into. They're not really a prog band, but they actually are. They're more progressive than most of the prog bands because they changed and moved But one of the things about prog music is it's often too dense. There's too much going on. And one of the beautiful things about some of my favorite bands are like this, The Who or Queen, is that there's not that much going on. So when you listen to a Queen track, it's guitar, bass, and drums. Yeah, go listen. Most of the time, it's guitar, bass, and drums with a dusting of piano, or it's just piano, or it's just piano and bass, or just piano, bass, drums with a dusting of guitar. They're fucking brilliant. And they didn't use synthesizers till Hot Space, within which was the hit with David Bowie, Under Pressure. But and they would always put on their albums, because synthesizers were blowing up during their whole career, they would always put, and no one played synthesizer. It was just a fun thing. They didn't hate synthesizers. They just really wanted you to know that weird thing you were hearing was Brian May stacking up some guitars. That would be the other kind of very Baroque thing on a Queen album. Guitar, bass, and drums, that's 85% of your thing. Then the vocals, but every once in a while Brian May would do this thing where he stacked 2, 3, 4 guitars and with very cool harmonies, and so you'd hear this wall of this big thing that sounded like a synthesizer, but it was guitar. Anyway, thank you for bringing up Freddie Mercury because my day started with that record, and later on we were hanging out with some friends, and we listened to a bunch of other Queen. So thank you. Freddie Mercury was totally in my mind yesterday. I almost posted about it, but I just said 9 out of 10 times I don't post. When I think of it, I just go, yeah, just go play some guitar or synthesizers. I fucking stay away because it's so toxic. That would have been nice though. So thanks for bringing up Freddie Mercury, and I should try to get Brian May. I know I always think, well, you couldn't get that person, but I know people who work for Brian May, so maybe he would come talk about being vegetarian for 50 years. Ryan Walsh, how are you, my friend? Ryan, hope you're doing well. And last week we talked about A's Thai. A's Thai. Please make sure you go and check them out. And they're friends of mine. They're very vegetarian and vegan friendly and gluten free too. So it's the letter A-E. It's a unique spelling for us Americans. Probably very common in Thailand. So it's A's Thai. A-E''S. A's Thai. And it's in Hazlitt. Just look it up. Maybe I'll pull up the link again. But they, these are folks that knew Sherry. My buddy Rick Bartow, the bass player. Beautiful Thai place. I haven't been there, but everyone I know raves about it. All the peanut sauce and the Thai salads. You can get tofu with any of the noodles, the broad noodles, the pad Thai. You can get masaman curry, red curry, green curry, spicy, medium, extra hot, whatever you like. So, Ryan, I applaud you, my young friend and family. I applaud you that you've done this. In your 20s, I really do, because we're told and we're taught that people don't ever change, and I love it, my friend, and I always appreciate that you take some time to stop by. What'd you have for lunch today, Ryan? And how is Monmouth County doing for vegetarians? Because that's where I started. Sharon says to me, one German band is Rammstein. Yes, great band. Did you see that video they did that starts in like 8th century Germany and comes all the way up? Wow, that is some heavy shit. Great video. Great video. I don't know how much they spent, but it's one of the greatest high production videos I've ever seen. Maybe you know the title of the song, but it starts. And Rammstein's interesting because when you see a video starts and it's some Germans and there's a black woman and some guys in uniforms and some fire, usually it's time to be nervous. Sorry, Germans. We're still kind of getting over some stuff. But, but when it turns around and it's like, wow, it's this celebration of Africanness. And the beauty of this black woman that's in this, she's a queen. Wow. I was like, fucking Rammstein, you go. And there's some other stuff too. There's some imagery about German history and stuff. It goes through all kinds of stuff. But maybe you know the name of that song. It's fucking brilliant. So Rammstein. I've never seen them, but Todd Reynolds, what's up, Todd? Todd, this was 16 minutes ago. Hopefully you're still here. Todd, let's catch up, bro. As you said this yesterday. I love you, bro, because one of us always reminds each other. But I was warming up for this show, puttering around, listening to your recent stream. I forget what date it was, but it had the words "office hours" in the title. You just did the other day. It was great. Yeah, it was awesome and inspiring to listen to that. So, good to see you here. Let's catch up. Studierendenwerk. They gender everything these days. Okay, yeah. We'll do a show just on gender, Sabina, and what that means in the German language, what things you have to move around. Live office hours show, right? Sharon's talking about that. Okay, we're just about caught up. Sabine says, they're from East Germany. I might become a communist, listen to their music. Yes. Seen them in 2004. The tour was sold out quickly, yeah. Always a pyro show. Yeah. Yeah. Is that the trick? Just command it. Yeah. Yes, I need a German lesson. Let's do a Zoom German lesson. We should catch up anyway. Uh, tap at that meter. Yes. Um, Das Volk der Dichter und Denker. Oh, Sabine, that's okay. You always blow my mind from the first time I met you many years ago. Um, awesome, Todd. Todd, that's great. I love Todd that we have this great circle going, and we've turned each other on to so many cool people, and so many of them are here today. Thank you, folks, on this Monday. I'm hopefully making you laugh a little bit. I'm hopefully, the news, it's so depressing, and I could sit here and just talk about what's in the, and I'm not, folks. I dart over to it. Of course, I touch base. I'm wearing an outfit that's making hopefully a loud statement in support, in solidarity of all women. Because if you go around the globe, country by country, it varies. Some countries are incredible on women's rights. Some countries like Iceland or New Zealand or Israel or India, with Golda Meir and Indira Gandhi, and I used to know the name of the woman who was the first open lesbian prime minister of Iceland. So all these countries have had women leaders. Argentina, my country, Guyana. My country, Guyana, had not only a woman leader, but the first Jewish woman as a head of state in South America. In Guyana, sorry. I don't know about some of the other countries. But I think so, though. I think, so it varies as you go around the globe, Has Japan had a woman leader? They need to get on that. I can't remember if they have, but many countries have. What annoys me is when we finally do, we're going to make the biggest deal about it. Oh, it's going to be so nauseating from the point of view of as a globalist as I am, as an internationalist. It's going to be nauseating because we're going to act like we invented it. Our little 4% of the globe, because that's all we are, just 4% of the global population. And I'm hating it before it even happens. While I love it, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris 3 times if I can. Wink, wink, right wingers. But I'm going to love it. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be awesome, and we won't stop partying. But do you hear the other side of what I'm saying? Like, we'll be really annoying. We're going to act like we're the first ones who ever did that in the Western world. Oh, America nauseates me in so many ways. And I'm telling you, we could put money on that, right? We're going to act like we fucking invented it, which is an insult to all these women who've been prime ministers in Africa, to all these women who've been prime ministers and presidents and queens in Europe and Asia and South America. We're going to act. Anyway, you get the point, though. That's the team I'm on, and that's why I'm wearing this, because this week has been an attack on women's rights, which, strangely or not enough, is the same kind of people attack animals. The same kind of people are fine with bullies. The same kind of people are fine with indiscriminate, racist, and violent, extra violent activities of police. Same kind of people who support the whole bag of shit. And we're just not fighting back efficiently. So I thought today I'd have my ill-fitting, because I've got a few more plant-based beer calories than I should have over this miserable year. So thank you, Todd, for pointing out my Gilead chic. I love you, bro. Gilead chic. That's great. Sipping, asking if I'm conducting myself. I'm conducting myself very badly today. And while I haven't done it, one day I will come on this show drinking just so I could really get loose. You think I'm loose now? I was doing some Freddie Mercury, yes. Volk del Dicta und Danka. That's people of poets and thinker. Okay, great. I like that. I'd like to think I'm one of those people. Um, Night at the Opera. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it's tough to nail down any record, but Queen 2 and Sheer Heart Attack for me are, damn, that's some brilliant shit. That's some brilliant shit. Thank you. There's the link to A's Thai. So Ryan Walsh, please check that out. Ryan says, I was even older when I went vegetarian. You were in your 30s now, going on 35. Danielle's very excited to try. Oh, that's great. So please, when you go, send me a text so I can see if my buddy Rick's working. But, just ask for Rick and say that you're friends of Andre, just so there's some love there. Because they knew Sherry very well. And just point out that you're a family member. That would be great. And she would love that because she loved Thai food. And just let them know. Say, hey, we're vegan, or I'm vegetarian, you're vegan. Whatever it is, just let them know. And they're very specially put things together for you. That's the beauty of Asian food across the board. But and I find this in Indian food, and actually a little less in Indian food, because sometimes if it's cooked with ghee or cooked with they tend to use a bit more ghee in certain parts of India. But yeah, Indian food, Thai food, Tibetan food, Chinese food, Japanese food. What's beautiful is Cambodian food, Bhutanese food, Vietnamese food, Malaysian food, Indonesian food. What's awesome is it's so plant-based. Whether it's the coconut milk and the plant-based oils, the plant fats, whether it's they use cashews and nuts of all types, ground nuts and peanuts and things. They use so many greens, right? Bok choy and things that we would look at and identify as kales and spinaches and things like that. They use all these varieties of juicy things like tomatoes and fruits that we don't even know that have fleshy consistencies and things. Jackfruit is becoming popular in the USA. So you have this cuisine that uses all this wonderful stuff and the spices, the aromatic things that we now know, and we've known for nearly a century. These are medicinal foods. Garlic is medicinal. The allium family is the medicinal. Okay? Cayenne, turmeric, mustard, is it's medicine, these foods. We can go right down the line. Yet another topic. Every week I come on and I do a little bit of percentage of what I'm thinking of. But the Asian diaspora of food / medicine, the medicine part is truly amazing. You start studying just a little bit Ayurveda, and you look at the different spices and roots and the things that extracts of tree barks and leaves and seeds and things that are in the Indian pharmacopoeia. Really, it's really a pharmacopoeia / menu food. There's no distinguishing. That's the thing too. We almost have to change our Western thinking, because it's tough for us to understand sometimes that. And there's a book, I forget who wrote it. There's a book called Food is Medicine, and that's a concept that people have talked about for centuries. But I think we're still a little unclear on that in the Western mind. That squeezing that lemon juice on something, we can think about that in a slightly medicinal way. The live enzymatic action that's just in lemon juice, right? The vitamin C, the living vitamin C, right? It's not a pill in Whole Foods, and the live enzymatic action that's in the rind of any citrus, but especially things like lemons and limes. We need to start thinking a little bit. This is medicinal for me. This is helping me optimize my immune system. Likewise, the garlic. Likewise, the cayenne. Likewise, the turmeric. Likewise, all the colors in curries. So my point, though, I'm giving a long, as always, a long dissertation on Thai food and how wonderfully amazing Thai food and how every little bit there's nothing wasted in terms of nutrient value. There's things in bamboo shoots. There's things in galangal, which is a crucial part of. There's things in lemongrass. Speaking of lemons, wow! Go look up lemongrass. Incredibly medicinal. Wow! And it's an ingredient. They've used it for centuries. So again, no one's sitting there in Thailand making wonderful food, going, "Oh, I better get something that enhances." Fat burning and put some of this stuff in that's got carotenoids that help eyesight. And this is anti-inflammatory. So if someone is experiencing a little bit of gout, this might help. No, it's in there because it's delicious. We reverse engineer it in the era of kind of, what era would we call that? The era of kind of really studying what things are made of. And we've discovered, wow, this is good. So anyway, Thai food, amazing and delicious when it's done well. I haven't had bad Thai food. I've had some that's not so great. But all that to say, one of the most vegan-friendly, easy to be vegan foods that there is. Because often, and this is where I bring it in for a landing, the beautiful thing of how I does it is they kind of have a template for 10 different meals. The papaya salad, well, that's vegan already, so that's done. There's a broad noodle dish, there's a masaman curry, there's a couple pad thai and things like that. And they all are available with pork or beef if you choose, or chicken, but also with tofu or just vegetables. And then it's very easy to do that because if you have that common template where everything has these same 8 ingredients, the only variable is your protein source, right? And again, you're not substituting something for meat. You're just choosing a protein source that's not a dead animal. See, just seeing it a little bit differently. It's kind of like I've recently learned to not use the word slave. I say enslaved person now. Wow. It's just 2 letters different. Enslaved, or 3 letters, enslaved. But it changes the whole thing. Because now, instead of a noun, you're a slave. They took the slaves and they did this. It's this noun pressing down on our head, pressing down on black people, defining us in historical terms as this thing, this slave. Beautiful. I don't know where I read it or who said it, but I loved it. I'm seeing it now in articles. And I ask you to do the same. Please. Can't tell anyone what to do, but I would offer, maybe try saying enslaved. Because if you said, and then the enslaved people were put in that fucking boat, and then the enslaved people, just to focus on the ones in America, there was enslavement all around the globe, but I live in America, and I live under the problems of the after effects of American slavery. So that's what I'm talking about. Please don't post that the Greeks had slaves. I know that. Please don't waste my time that the Aztecs had slaves. I think I'm weeding those kind of people out, though. I'm tired of you. I'm tired of you. I'm talking to the person who would do things like that. Well, Andre, the Irish were slaves, and I'm too old, man. I'm 56. I just can't anymore. So I draw a box around things I say now, so that people like that can maybe understand. Of course, there was black Africans who had other black African slaves, okay? The Greeks had enslavement. There was Irish people that were slaves, enslaved. There were Egyptians that were enslaved, Jews that were enslaved, various Islamics that were enslaved, Aztecs and Mayans who were enslaved. So it's a global thing, Something happened, though, the way that it was done in America, and you all need to understand that. I've studied a lot of enslavement, and I ask you to also. But what was special about American enslavement is it was next level. It really was. Again, I shouldn't go down this road, but because it'll take a lot of time. But trust me on that. Trust me. The systematic thing. I'll spend 45 seconds on it. The systematic thing that was done that's special about American enslavement is that they saw right away that this group of enslaved people they brought from the Cameroon, and this group from what we now call, Nigeria or Cote d'Ivoire, or this other group that came from Ethiopia, or this other group that we now call Zimbabweans, or these are Angolans. They stole African people from different parts of the continent. And yes, here and there, in a tiny percentage, there were some complicit Africans. And we now know that, we've known for a while, a lot of the complicit Africans were the Islamic North Africans, who had an advancement and a use of weaponry and horses and things where they were able to round some people up, man, and sell them to the white man. It was fucked up. But what was different about American slavery is that they realized, well, the Cameroons are hanging around and they're talking this funny language and they're playing drums, and we can't have that. So what was very, very early on in American enslavement is to ban the music, ban the drum, stop that jungle stuff you're doing, and also very carefully make sure that you would put a Cameroonian with a Zimbabwean, with again, I'm using the modern country names, I know that, with someone from Chad, someone else over here who might be from Angola, this one's from what we now know as South Africa. Put them together. They don't speak the language. Yeah, brilliant move. So now there are 4 or 5 or 20 frightened people who can't speak to each other, and they can't communicate musically because that's banned. You cut off a hand, you cut off it was diabolically brilliant. That's one of the bases of American enslavement. Did you know that? Go look that shit up. But the removal of their religion, their spirituality, and their music was systematic. And I'll end this here. You didn't see that in certain other enslavement situations. That's the difference. A lot of times you were enslaved in ancient Egypt, in ancient Greece, parts of Europe, parts of Asia, and you could work your way out of the slavery. And you had your whole family, and you were able to sing your songs, have your music, have your interests. They didn't care. You just had to fucking work for free. And often it was because of a war or conquest. The American version was the sickest, darkest shit that you can ever think of. Trust me on that. And trust me that the vomit-inducing remnants of it, which you know this, we talked about it last year for the first time in public with a lot of new people, but it went right into Jim Crow and the 13th Amendment and the formation of police and the racist justice system, and here we are. So thank you for inspiring that. Back to some food. After that message from our sponsor, back to our show. Ann Everett says tomato pie. That's awesome. I love tomato pie. You mean like a pizza that's just tomato, or just tomato pie? Tell us a little bit about that. We had a vegan pizza this weekend. Really great place, Pizza Mind, that does Daya vegan cheese and a fully vegan pie. Oh, so damn good. Black olives and onions. Really good. Sabina, Deutschland über alles is very controversial as they use Nazi phrases, talk about the recent right wing, and that's Rammstein. Rammstein. Okay, thank you. What was I saying? Rammstein. Thank you. Rammstein. I love it. And I love that you can very clearly, your English is perfect, so you can give us the right pronunciation. Rammstein. 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 Okay, I got to practice that. Complicated history, yes. Bum, 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 bum. Sabina says, yeah, not worse than Civil War and slavery, just different. Yeah, it's different. But America did something special. I'll always say that, and many scholars do. The cuisines you mentioned are highly adapted to what's in season, yes, and nearby. Great point. Yeah, because they're eating in the seasons, and yeah. I'm almost caught up, folks. I'm only 8 minutes back. Yes, it's great. You can adjust. Ann Everett is adding to that point and saying, yes, you can adjust it to your own liking. I love it. Yeah, and that's the beauty of all those foods I just mentioned. Every time I've had any of those foods, and I won't list them again, it's always a little different. It's a work of art, as all cooking is, to varying degrees. But the Asian, uh, uh, the umbrella over Asian foods. A very good point that someone just pointed out. Who said that about the seasons? Yeah, very good point because it changes. Sharon said that. Yeah, it's adaptable. It is, so it kind of morphs a little bit. I need to go get some Chinese food now. This show always gets me hungry, but all right. Ginger, yeah, all these things. What? Wendy just tagged Jesse Lundy? Jesse's one of my dear friends, Wendy, and in fact, we're just back in touch. I owe him a phone call. That's crazy. What? Wow, what a cool coincidence. I just got back in touch with Jesse Lundy after like 15 years or something, 10 years. In fact, I owe him a phone call. Percussion is vital. Yes, it is. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, the German A, like in Rammstein. Right. Ann Everett says, yeah, recipes online. Yeah. Cook the tomatoes. Okay, yeah, I love that. Tomorrow's food is prepared. So good. I love that y'all just have a beautiful exchange of ideas, and it's great. It really makes me happy because that's why I do this. Exchange some ideas. Boy, I need to drink a little water though. That's like some, what is that called? AMSR? Is that what they call it? With the little noises? Is it AMSR? Because ASMR, right? It's when you just have these little, it's a whole like subtext of music now where you just hear. A little more reverb. There's people getting paid for this, to just sounds of people, spraying things out of shaving cream cans and things. So this. ASMR, folks. You get it all today because it's just that kind of day. Oh, good. Thank you. Rumstein. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do a couple of the news items. Thank you so much for being patient as I jump around a bit today. It's, I'm resisting getting into a whole long thing about Texas and reproductive freedom. You know where I stand. I'll talk about that on another stream. Just wanted to salute the people struggling. But it's ludicrous. So a couple things. So I always give a quick nod to the fast food places that are changing. Now I'll give my usual disclaimer. I'm not saying to go and start eating at KFC. I'm not going to do it. But maybe I would try this down the road if I find out the ingredients. That's the first thing I'll say. The second thing I'll say is, sorry, Americans. This is, once again, being done in these other countries. This one's in Thailand, where, and I've talked about this many times, in the Hong Kong, Singapore, and China locations of Starbucks. They do some incredible things. You can get Beyond Pork in like these breakfast dumplings. You can get much more plant-based milks, and they don't fucking charge you extra. You can get, etc. Right? There's all these things that they try, because they know it's an Asian market, an Asian customer base, far more ready for a meatless, an animal-free entree or something. They're not gonna. Sorry, Americans, but a lot of Americans are gonna go. I need my meat. I'm an American. You know, it's tiring. Fortunately, that's going away. Fortunately, that's dying off. Fortunately, the younger people are saying, hey, Chipotle, we're going to drive your stock through the roof. Well, why is that? Because you have all these animal-free options. We are teenagers. We are 20-something. We are millennials. We are far, far, far more comfortable with a plant-based diet or with a flexitarian diet. That's the other thing people don't see. These young people, I know so many of them. And how do I know young people? I'm a teacher. I'm a 20 years of substitute teaching in 2 different states. And I've seen that curve as the years have gone by. So I'm around everything from preschool to 12th grade, high school seniors. And the conversation comes up from time to time. I'll see a T-shirt, or I'll be in the lunchroom and I'll see somebody. I'll see a package of something I recognize, or I'll see them getting the vegetarian entree right at the thing, and I'll say, "Oh wow, vegetarian," and so I love it. I get to speak to teenage vegetarians, to 6-year-old vegetarians. It's amazing, and so I know that there's been a curve. Having said that, places like Chipotle, I always pick them because they've been number one at this, because they hit the ground running, and just like the Thai place I was talking about, and Mexican's another beautiful cuisine where it's very easy to go pull the flesh out and do something. I love that idea in Chipotle that you kind of build your own salad or rice bowl or burrito or tacos, right? I love that they keep it simple. That's the 4 choices of what you're going to walk out with or sit and have. That's it. You're getting a salad, a bowl, a taco, plural also, or a burrito. That's it. We're not fucking around with 92 choices. And then your second choice is, well, what am I having on it? And is it an animal flesh? Is it the 3 types of protein, 4 types of protein they have, right? They got black beans, pinto beans, a tofu sofritas thing, and I forget the other one. Sometimes there's another one. And corn technically has a little bit of protein. But then you go down the line, and everything's vegan except for the actual animal flesh, right? The barbecue pork, the chicken, and then the sour cream. Sometimes they have that, and they, and the cheese. But the other 20 items in a Chipotle. So I watch and I listen sometimes, because when we're on the road, we go to Chipotle once or twice a week, because it's fast, convenient. Everyone in the van is happy. This one wants 100% pork and just onions. Great, you can fucking have that. This one here doesn't like corn. Great, have the other stuff. This one here wants, you got the picture. So I applaud Chipotle, and within Chipotle you can see this youthful revolution that they're done with it, and younger people more often than not are thinking about all these rights. So they're the ones changing stuff for LGBT people. They're the ones condemning racism of their dad and their grandmother and their mom and grandmother. Let's be serious here. That shit's across the board. They're the ones looking at climate change and saying, "Well, I'm not going to buy a car. Yeah, I'll do without, and I'll ride and use mass transit. And if I have to drive, I'll rent a Zip car or take a train and then an Uber." So I love that this generation is destroying paradigms. Yeah, they're saying, "Yeah, maybe I won't fill my house with thousands of." Do I have one? Yeah, here's one. Here's one of my CDs that I'm about to re-release on Bandcamp. They're saying, "Yeah, we're not going to fill our house with 8,000 of these fucking pieces of plastic and paper." Why? They're reading about climate change emergencies. And they're saying we're going to listen to things on our phone or our computer or some fancy device. But they buy one device and they do everything with that device. They watch all their movies on that iPad or tablet or whatever. They or plug it into a TV. They're going to school now. That's not necessarily great, but for some of them it is. I teach guitar. I teach synthesizers. I do stuff with devices now, so I'm not burning gas to get there. They're not burning gas to come here. So I applaud you, young people, that are inquisitive and cognizant of these problems and taking steps. And those of us that are older, to not learn is so fucked up. Wow, you're so fucked up. If you're older and you're not learning from younger people, you're just fucked up. Wow, what's wrong with you? We all know lots of these people too, right? All they do is bitch and cry and complain about younger people. 100%. Of course, there's reasons to complain about certain segments of that generation and individuals and even little groups. But to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So anyway, on that note, let's look at some news here of what one of the fast food places is doing. Oh, that's sad breaking news. Michael Williams, who's Omar Little in The Wire, dead at 54. Wow. Just talking about The Wire yesterday. Wow. Rest in peace, bro. So I'm re-releasing this, by the way. This is one of my CDs. This is obviously like a test copy of some sort, but there we go. A bunch of my live music that you will hear about soon, because I've got to pay the bills. I've had a couple tours go away that I don't talk about here, but yeah. So anyway, so let's look at this. This is I'll set it up. It's Kentucky Fried Chicken, and it's they have they're doing this in Thailand. And they're doing, hopefully it comes here. But it's these chicken nugget type things, chicken popcorn, they call it. Let's go to that. Bum, 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 bum. Here it is. Vegan popcorn chicken. Wow. I don't even really know what that is. I don't think I've ever had popcorn chicken. I stopped eating dead chickens in 1983 or 4. How about this? It's made by Meat Zero. And these big animal slaughter companies are making now some of these things. I know, it's simply a market response. They're looking at the market. They're saying, wow, let's... So whoever makes it, I don't care. Because if it's making more sustainable end results and it's encouraging farming that's sustainable, and you can do crop rotation and things like that you can't do with these massive environmentally vicious factories, then okay, great. So I'll put the link, as usual. You can read this on your own. But there it is, KFC. That's what the stuff looks like. And we've had things that have looked like that for decades, and they're just doing a modern version. Here's a sandwich the KFC has called Zero Chicken. Can you wrap your minds around that, folks? They got chicken in the name. They got chicken in the name. And they're responding to the revolution. This is in the United Kingdom. And they use the corn to do a vegan patty. Let me say it again, folks. The place is fucking called Kentucky Fried Chicken. And they are responding. There's that much of a market demand. Look at that. When they launched it, 500% more sales than any other new product launch. 500%. It's now on all 900 KFC locations in the UK, but also expanding to Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore. Wow. Okay, yeah, and there we go. As we were saying, it's still in a plastic thing, but the day before this, it was dead animal flesh in a plastic thing. So then you had all those extra hormones and pesticides and growth hormones and weird excipients and just toxic inputs, and that's just the animal. Then you had the water usage that animal agriculture, what's the word? Mechanization requires. You have the excessive use of water, the excessive creation of water pollutants. You can't touch what a hog farm does to the surrounding water table. And we're suffering that problem right where I live here in the Carolinas and in Tennessee and Kentucky and Virginia. Really big problem. Really big problem. So yes, let's get rid of this plastic. Who knows though? This might be some corn-based plastic, right? That's very, very common, folks. We're seeing that a lot. And what's cool is now there's a conversation because now you have the space to communicate with a Kentucky Fried Chicken and say, hey, here's this company. They make a biodegradable corn container, and it's only 3.7 cents more per lot of 100 or whatever than your other one. Yes, you will spend some more money at first, but look at the trade-off. It biodegrades. If it makes it to the ocean, it breaks down in 24 hours or whatever the case may be. Which there's all kinds of wonderful hemp-based and corn-based and starch-based plastics. So very exciting here. All right, so I'll give you the link here, but know that Kentucky Fried Chicken, who also owns Taco Bell and Pizza Hut, they're also doing vegetarian and vegan things in their menu for Taco Bell and for Pizza Hut. It's amazing. So that's another one. I love to share those with you. There's an article. Share it with your friends. Let's see. Jeremy, let me catch up on some comments. I wasn't hungry till I started reading that recipe. I know. These recipes, all sounds good. Sabina says, Germany changed the law 2 years ago. Jobs have been announced in a male and a female and diverse. Oh, that's great. The German name for kind of, what's our word? Non-binary, I suppose that's what the translation is for diverse. I love it. Diverse. Yeah, it's very diverse. Very diverse. Sorry, that's a bad German accent and slipped into French or something. But male is mannlich und weiblich. Bitte, mein Herren. Bitte. Einer kleiner mannlich, einer kleiner weiblich. Und divers. Ja. Ich bin unvegans. Kurt Douglas Hampstead, what's up? What's up, bro? How are you? How's the dancing? How is your plant-based? You said you were increasing very slowly, which I love. And you're adding some things. How are you feeling? Let's have more Guyanese people learning that they don't have to eat this death food. Let's tell our friends and family. As I bring up every time you're on here, I say, man, I gotta hook up with this Guyanese vegetarian place. I've reached out to them, no success, but that's because of COVID. The shit's fucked up. The site's down. I think they closed for a while. But good to see you. Tell me how you're doing. What have you been eating? Kurt Hampstead, folks. It's an old friend. We go back like 50 years. Our families is what goes back. Our parents all knew each other. And the Hampstead family has some of the greatest genes known to humanity. They should be studied. Right? just, the boys are handsome, the girls are gorgeous, the mom, beautiful. And the mom and dad, they look like they did in 1978. It's crazy. I need to know what's going on there. What kind of satanic shit, what kind of a magical deal was made? Because I don't know. But those hamster parents, they are not aging. It's not fair. So it's good genes, good genes. So carry those good genes forward, bro. And the other half that we can control is eating good food, which I know they have, because that's what we do in the Caribbean. Even people who eat meat, we eat a lot of the good stuff as well. We eat tons of the plantains and the mangoes and the breadfruit and the citrus, the grapefruit, the oranges, the lemons. We're eating all of that stuff. We just need to not let the modern shit clog it up. Launched in Atlanta, yeah. So Kurt says, I dare here, boy. I gotta be in Guyana for a little bit and work on my accent. Boy, I've got the Jamaican accent, cause if you wanna smoke a spliff, you can come to me, boy. No kind of rascal drugs. We smoking some ganja. Yeah, mate. And then, I was this guy, I grew up in the council flats. My name's Adrian, but they call me Tricky, see? My mum was white, my dad was black. But I'm a black man in England. Yeah, boy. And then you come from Guyana, and sometimes, you gotta... You sit down, boy, and you drink a coconut. Why not? What kind of madness is this, boy? Yeah, man. It's like, because I could be from like New York too, man, and like talking about vegan stuff. Man, that shit is whack, bro. Why you gotta be, but I tried this shit, bro. It was delicious. And then, when this people is coming to Nigeria, I say to her, you come on the plane, and inside the plane, they have this food, the jollof rice, And I thought, I am usually eating meat, coming to Lagos, flying. And the woman, she came with this food. I said, what is this? Who is this? How can we? Where is the chicken? What is all this? And I ate it. And I said to her, it's not bad at all. There we go. A little, just a little, we're doing diaspora today, Sabina. I'm just, Sabina, that's about the 10th accent that I've done today. But that's what I do. What am I doing? I'm celebrating that, we're not being forced yet to wear a fucking handmaid's outfit. I'm having fun, but this is a serious thing too. I have to go shopping in a little while. About to end the show in about 10 minutes. But I might go to the supermarket like this. Maybe I should. That would be great. This is a very progressive liberal town, so people will get my meaning. Yeah, Kurt, adehe. I'm down 20 pounds lighter. Must be much more. Dude, that is great to hear, man. That you're sticking with it, and it doesn't have to be pressure, right? It's just, yeah, once in a while, this is me mother chicken curry. I gotta have this. Okay, yeah, it's fine. But the rest of the 90%, yeah, it sounds like you're doing great, man. And you're taking out the bread. Yeah, that's the bread. That's the shit. The bread and the it's the carbs. We eat too much pasta and bread and bagels and fried food and so you said it. If we can all fry a little less. We steam a lot, right? Are you steaming? If not, steaming, man, that's the jam, because steam those greens, steam even like things like peppers. I steamed some jalapenos the other day, and you get this just for a few minutes, and they become like they were fried, and then you put them in something else, or just eat one with the rice or with the stuff. I steam greens every week. I'm going to steam some kale right now. We steam squash. and chop some onions with that and steam it together. Steaming is also a very nice, lazy cookers kind of a thing because I don't have to think about it. If I can get the water and the steamer and just I can walk away and let the shit steam. I get corn, husk it, cut that corn in half or a third, steam it, bang. So anyway, less frying. I like that, my friend. That's a good move. Um, that's good. Too bad some of my cousins are married. That's right. Yeah, beautiful cousins. Hey, people aren't married forever. Cause wait, our families are connected now, right? Yeah, there was people get divorced, they move on, right? My cousin Stephen, married to one of your sisters. I saw that. I was like, motherfucker, Stephen, son of a bitch. Sabine says, pics if I go shopping like this. You know, I think I'm going to have to do it now. Yeah. All right. I have to to get someone to hold my phone. Why not? This shit is real. Um, okay, so another news item or two. Really having fun today. Thank you, folks. But we're also talking about some very real things. It's amazing how fast this is happening with these big companies. Another one today because there's been a these meetings are happening, folks. It is game on, and it's safe to say that every single company that does cold cuts and fast food, and the company that makes spam is doing a vegan thing now. Can you wrap your mind around that? That's like I was saying, KFC. It's got chicken in the name, and they have spoken to this. So this next one I'm going to share is as we go back and forth with fresh news items. Is Hormel, which is the company that makes spam. Okay, spam is gross. I think I've ate spam, but it was like 35 years ago. 40, no, 40, I was vegan 35 years ago. 40 years ago. Sure, I had some spam. I didn't really like it. I'm not, when I look back at the flesh I did eat, definitely it need to be well done. Early on, I was like, is that blood? There's blood on the plate. Mommy, can you take it back? I said, blood. Yeah, I was that kid. I didn't. So deep inside, I knew. That's brutality, man. You're eating cruelty. You're eating murder. What else is blood? It's. I mean, this is not difficult. You're reacting to that you bleed, and that bleeding most likely has something to do with a painful moment. So as a child, I remember looking back, couldn't deal with liver. It just looks like a liver when they bring it, right? And your mom cuts into liver. That's an organ. That looks like an operation is going on. This isn't good. So then steak, same thing. Please burn that. I just make the part go away that makes me think about what it really is. Tongue. They eat a lot of tongue in parts of the world. I saw tongue as a young. That's a tongue. I can't have that. I didn't really put the whole picture together. I would eat the chicken or something because that was put in a batter and you didn't see chicken. You saw a nice crunchy kind of, right? Psychology, folks. The brutality of food is wrapped up in some bullshit so that we carry on this madness. But I had these little inklings, and I've told this story before. I was 8 years old in Guyana. I lived there from age 5 or 6 to 11. So that would be about 1970 or 71 to 76. And somewhere in there, I think I was 8, let's say. My dad took me up to the the Charles Ogle Farm, which is still there. I was there for the first time in decades, and it's right by the airport. And I was like, holy shit, Ogle Farms. But he took me there, and we would get all kinds of stuff there. And on that day, they were going to kill a pig, and I saw them, they get this pig, and I watched the whole thing. I remember, and so a chain went around his or her back legs. So the pig is caught by the legs, and just the pig is going like this, trying to. It must have hurt, man. You want a fucking chain on your legs with your whole 500 or 600 pounds weight? So the pig's like, and the guy took a big knife, and if let's say that's the neck, and I'm an 8-year-old, I'm watching in horror. Maybe I was even a little younger. I watched them fucking murder an animal. Blood all over. I can access that shit like that. I just did. That shit fucked me up. But I didn't. I was so young that I just didn't. I couldn't. I didn't realize that the pork we had a week later was that. I just didn't. Because it was buried and cooked, and there was delicious potatoes and things around it. But there was a curve. There was definitely a thing where I was like, it had to be the meat that was hidden away. I really look back, and I look back when I went vegetarian at age 18 to 19, and that was one of my first thoughts. I was like, oh, because I was reading some shit, I was getting some new knowledge, and I was like, that's right. That's why I don't really like that food. Wow. Now I get it. So that's what we're hiding, folks. That's happening as we speak. It's happening to millions of animals. They're getting their throats slit. They're getting electrocuted. They're getting a metal bar about that long shot into their skull by a machine. That's how cows are forced. Talk about forced. Don't get me started. These fucking people using the word forced. You're forcing me for a vaccine. No, we're not. You don't have to do it. You can be your anti-science superstition self. You don't have to. It's fine. We even allow the freedom to be superstitious and to not be able to read scientific abstracts. That's your freedom. No one's forcing you. Animals are forced. Okay? I mean, I could come up with 100 examples of true forcing, like fascism in other countries or something, but you're not being forced. But a cow gets forced into this thing, and they get led into a thing where there's one of them at a time, and they can't move either way, and they get to the end of the line. They're hearing the other cows die, and they start freaking out. You can watch videos of this. They are terrified because they're smart animals. They know, they smell, and they finally get to that last spot where it's their turn, and the thing traps them, and their head is immobile, and a metal bar comes in, and it's then pulled into a conveyor belt, basically. There's mechanical arms. It's a robot murdering machine, basically. And this is just happening while we're talking. Yeah. So I'm here to just talk about it and to get people to make a choice. Hey, that's the other thing. No one's forcing you to stop eating meat. No one ever will. And I wouldn't want that. I want people to think and decide and have free choice. That's all. So, yeah. So hats off to Kentucky Fried Chicken, to everyone, right, that's doing this. Like, who's not? Arby's, Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, Starbucks, Domino's, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, with their idiot right-wing president. And I'm not naive. Some of the other companies could have some idiot right winger running it. They just shut their mouth, unlike the Papa John's guy. Anyway, so here we are, Hormel, which I know nothing about the company. Yeah, they're doing vegan pepperoni. Wow, look at that, and they're doing it in pizzerias are starting to use that, and um, yeah, I'll put this link as always. Look at that; it's indistinguishable, which that in and of itself is not a big deal. It's I've had vegan pepperoni. Um, let's see, what year is it? It's 2021. I think I tried my first um, bit of vegan pepperoni. It was Eve's, the company Eve's, which is Canadian and has morphed into Gardein. I understand it. The guy Yves Pauvin, the chef Yves who invented Yves company. I hear he has something to do with Gardein, the Canadian company. But Yves had a vegan pepperoni. Oh man, I'm gonna say like in 91 or 2, something like that. So the idea is it's just soy and wheat gluten and some, whatever, vegetable starches and different types of fat and guar gum and stuff from seaweed. That's the thing. It's really, really easy to get the texture of flesh. It's boring, actually, how easy it is. What's been difficult is scaling it up, getting it where it's just perfect for that person who has grown up eating flesh food and really wants that. They're not going to stand for it being rubbery or too salty or not salty enough or any of these things. Look at that, right? I mean, it's the funny thing is, to me, it's okay to look at that and have an appetizing result, because when you ate that for the first time, right? When you ate the thing we're looking at, right? And you were a child, and you do, in the American culture, in many Western cultures, you will eat something that looks like this as soon as you are eating solid foods, right? Pretty much, or within a year of that. So that's your association with the tastiness, the chewiness, the saltiness, the spiciness. It's delicious. That's not the point. The point is you are not cognizant at that point that it took cutting the throat of a living being that was struggling, that was fighting, that was breaking its limbs to get out of a fucking machine that was killing it, or a farmer cutting its throat. You don't associate that when you eat something delicious at age 3. See, that's really what we need to be talking about. So when they have invented ways to make that same exact texture and chewiness and saltiness, the fat profile, the mouth feel, as it's called. It's a fascinating area. When they've got that down and you see that, you smell it, you eat it. And you know what's funny? The deliciousness of a lot of flesh foods is actually the garlic, the cured part, the smokiness, the onions. Yes, yes, yes. There's an inherent flavor profile of the actual cow flesh, of the actual pig flesh. Yes, I'm not saying that's not there. But we give zero acknowledgement that, oh yeah, that sausage, it was marinated in vinegar, which is plant-based. It's got fennel, and it's got garlic, and it's got all these things in it to make it taste delicious along with the flesh. So anyway, there we have it. I'm going to end with that one. Pepperoni. It's been a wonderful and all around the map day with y'all. And I think I'm going to go to Trader Joe with this outfit on. Way Papa Muse says it's gross. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but slaughtering a pig, maybe? I'm not sure, because that's gross. But also, yes, sausages made from bloody flesh is gross, if that's what you're referring to. I'm not sure. But please let me know. Oh, you were talking about the murder of the pig, maybe. Yeah. I don't want any meat well done, too. You used to want my meat well done. Yeah, right, because you hide it, right? I know. Liquidy eggs. Ugh. Eve's pepperoni hot dogs. Right, you remember. That was early on. Sabina, yes, I've noticed that when I'm in Europe, the word pepperoni just means pepper, right? Right. Which is in what we call pepperoni. It's spicy. Yeah, yeah. Field Roast, Sweet Earth, fantastic companies. Um, so, okay, well, see you soon, folks. And I have coming up a guest. We're just trying to schedule it, but I have a guest from this company. It's called Serotonin Ferment, and I'm gonna. This is a local company, Asheville company. But what we're gonna talk about this day is fermented food. You know, I always talk about that. We're gonna talk about sauerkraut, fermented food, kimchi, pickles, and why they're so good for us. You all know I talk about that all the time. So I'll leave you with that. Eat something pickled today. Your belly will enjoy it, and um, I am gonna sign off. As always, folks, if you wanna buy me a coffee or a 6 pack of beer, I appreciate it. I do this. I do a lot of things where I'm trying to build a new economy, but this one I just do because it's awesome. But if you want to tip me, here's my Venmo. It's just my name with a dash between it. And it's just Andre Chumley with, oops, we don't want that. Okay, there it is. Awesome. Ba, 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 ba. Awesome. There it is. And I thank you for being here. And yes, the PayPal always has your full name, but I need to fix that so people don't get confused. But I prefer Venmo anyways. If anyone wants to buy me a beer or a package of tempeh, but it's time to. I've had a couple tours cancel, another one since I last said that, and shit's fucked up, y'all. So I got, not complaining though. I'm just gonna. I've actually dusted off my resume. I may be looking for a day job. I'm looking at a couple of things, and I'm gonna try to intensify my teaching and my workshops and my Patreon, and gonna try to just keep creating this new economy is the word I'm looking for. But I got some cool stuff coming up, working for other people remotely, doing some tour support right here from my desk. Like many people, reinvention. I mean, I'm sure you're reading about it. People are not going back to their shitty restaurant jobs, so restaurants are closing down. People are not going back to their shitty $8 an hour jobs, so places are now offering 12, 15, 17 an hour. I love it. So we're recreating. Stay well, and